Hi, welcome back to my channel. Infertility and relationships, or how trying for a baby can affect relationships. So I mean, we've been going through it now for coming up to just over a year and a half now. We've found out quite a lot about our journey. We are on and off late. I've currently have 2 block tubes. This is all on my first video that I did over on YouTube about my infertility story up to date. Well, we've had some small bits of news between then and now, but nothing major. So we've been going through infertility for 18 months now, and I would say I'm not a relationship expert, although we've been in a relationship since we were 14 and 16, coming up to 12 years now. So I'd like to know I know my relationship inside and out. This might not, be for everybody, as in everybody's relationships aren't the same, but I think if you apply some bits of the positive stuff into your own relationship, if you are struggling, then it can only be a good thing, right? I would say we are probably closer than ever, and I would say it's because our communication is at peak. I'm a chatter. If anybody knows me in person, I love a chat. We'll talk something over and over and over until I've got it in my head, until I feel like until I feel better about it. And I think that's it works for me. You can't say one thing's right and one thing's wrong, but definitely communication is the #1 thing that I would say has helped us going through this. We work really well as a team, so I bounce things off Mark bounces things off me, and we discuss it until we're both comfortable, or until we both come to an answer that we're both happy with. If we're going to go to an appointment, I mean, we need to know whether we want to do this option or this option, or whether we're happy doing that either option. Make sure we're both on the same page. That is the biggest thing that I would say with infertility in particular, or when you've got to make decisions, even like when we were planning our wedding and stuff. Being on the same page is everything, and I think that boils down to communication. With your communication, it really does help feeling part of a team. You don't want to be working against each other in these sorts of situations, because it's really stressful, or it can be if you let it get to you. It's such a hard issue, because it's something generally that you don't realise is going to happen to you, but here we are. And it is happening to 1 in 8 of us. So you have to kind of roll with the punches, and as long as you're communicating and are comfortable talking to each other and saying how you feel. If you're hiding any emotion or trying to be strong because you don't, or you're worried about what the other person's going to say, it isn't going to work, because eventually you're gonna break down, or the other person's going to break down because they've been hiding something from you that they feel, or that they want to be strong for you. I mean, I might get Mark to weigh in on this actually, because coming from a guy, how they feel about being strong for the woman or for your partner in general, I can imagine that's really tough. I mean, me and Mark have been through quite a lot over the last few years with my injuries, knee surgery and breaking my leg and stuff, so he's had to stand by my side. I mean, got myself a good one really. He stands by my side and he's really strong for me, although I like to think that he would air an issue if he did feel that he had one, or if he wanted to say, do you know what, Nick, I'm really struggling today because I'm concerned about you, or I'm concerned about how long the healing's taking, or where we're going to go. Because obviously with infertility, it's very much a grey area. You don't know where you're going to go, you don't know how your journey's going to take you. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, infertility, IVF, there's like a massive time scale in between. I mean, for us it's been 18 months where I've not ovulated, and where we have not been put forward to IVF of just tests. So I've been under the hospital now for a year that I've been having tests for. So that's like so much stress on your body and so much stress on a relationship to go through these things, because people think, oh yeah, you'll be fine, you can just have IVF, or you can just you know, adopt, or you can just do this, that and the other, or you can just relax. Our favourite one in the infertility community, it's not as easy as that. So yeah, those are things that I think are really important as a couple for you to concentrate on. The other really tough thing that you have to stay together and be strong about is like dealing with others that aren't in your position, because I think everybody that's in our community or trying for a baby in general, if you are open about it, you're gonna get comments, you're gonna get, oh, why don't you just relax, or have you given it enough time, or whatever. I might do a separate video on things not to say, you know. Just this video, I want it to be for people that are going through this so they don't feel alone, and for the people that aren't going through it or aren't trying for a baby yet, so that they know that this is something that could happen, and just to make people realise that it happens to normal people. I mean, what's normal anyway, right? But yeah, it happens to so many people. So if you are open and you are wanting to talk about it, which I don't see why you shouldn't, because it gives you a support network. That's how I like to think about it. You know, I'm not sitting over here going, oh yeah, let's talk about my infertility story, or me and Mark trying for a baby, because now something has gone wrong, or it is taking longer than we would have liked. We've got a community around us, or a really good group of friends and family that know everything that's happening, you know, and the rest of the world knows, because I'm out here chatting about it to you lot. So it just makes me feel supported, and it makes me feel like I have got a support network around me. So even if you struggle talking to your partner, talk to somebody. It will build up in your head, and it'll fester, and you'll worry, and you'll be on Google and trying to search things, and it's just not good for your mental health either. So yeah, communication is everything, and like building a support network around you. Although you're going to get the comments, although you're going to get all the, I'm going to use the word, I mean, it's not very nice, but it is ignorance. It's ignorance. You're going to get ignorant comments, although they don't mean to be, although people that aren't in our position don't mean to be ignorant, it can come across that way, because we're highly sensitive anyway. So yeah, that is always going to be a tough one, really. But the more people that understand, and if you can say to someone, I was a bit offended by that actually, so I'd rather you not say something like that again. It's, you know, if you can be brave enough to say that to somebody, then you're doing the right thing, and you're correcting somebody, and you're helping them with their ignorance, or even just sharing my video, you know, and letting them see that this is happening to people other than just you, that you're not a hypochondriac, or you're not the only person that's going through it, and it's something that people should know about and know how to talk about. I'm really hoping that I'm doing the right thing by getting it out there and talking about it so openly, because people don't look at me as a 26-year-old and go, oh yeah, she's going through like loads of shit at the moment. They'd look at me and go, oh yeah, she's chilling, she's young, she's got time, she's, you know, she's in a great relationship, she goes on holiday, she does this, that and the other. They don't, you know, from first look, you wouldn't assume, never assume, like it's the worst thing in the world. People would assume that I'm alright, you know, I've got no outside symptoms that people would know about. But that brings on ignorance. But I'm hoping, again, by talking about it, it's going to educate people to not to be so ignorant, or just have a bit of education, to be a bit of to be a bit more in the loop with how this can go, you know, because eventually most people get to a point where they have a baby, or they're trying for a baby, or it's in a topic of conversation, and it was for us, for me and Mark, like our whole relationship with like, yeah, can't wait to have kids. It's been a thing, like it's just been something that we've always wanted, and it's never been something we've worried about, because we were like, my parents have got kids, Mark's parents have got kids, our whole families have got kids, and we were like, it'll be fine, like, because that's the way we thought the world worked. But here we are, proving that wrong. But yeah, it's definitely an education thing, and if you can be brave enough to say to people, you know what, I am struggling, or you shouldn't say that because of this, it's only going to be a positive thing, I think. I also had a couple of messages on Instagram when I put up a little question box to see if anybody had any stories or had any tips for people that are trying to conceive and to help deal with your relationship. So I had 2 stories in particular, and they're both male factor infertility stories actually, but it's the women that are messaging me, and I think although they're kind of similar, they're both putting pressure on themselves. And I think you do, as a woman trying to get pregnant, you naturally take the pressure. So one is saying that her husband has got it's male factor infertility, and they've been told that they're going to need to have IVF, but they're still undergoing a lot of tests at the moment. They've also been told that it's something with his sperm, so they may need a sperm donor, but she's really struggling because she wants to have his baby, and she's really struggling with that, and she feels that she's pushing her husband away, and some days it's getting her down and she can't get out of bed and stuff. That's a really tough one, isn't it, really, because you're taking the pressure again, like you're feeling the emotion. He's probably not feeling on top of the world because, you know, guys are really usually quite prideful, especially in things like that. They don't want their mates taking the piss out of them or anything like. But again, I think if anyone has any messages or any tips for these sorts of people, if this story resonates with you, if you've got any messages, I'll pass them on as well to the girls that have been in touch with me. But again, I think it's down to communication. If you can talk and if you can say, this is how I'm feeling, to each other, it's only going to help, I think. The other story is very similar again, male factor infertility, but she's been told that she needs to lose weight to have IVF, and she feels a massive pressure there. So the story's like flipped. Although it's a male factor infertility and they need IVF because of him, they won't give them IVF because of her weight, which is pretty much the similar situation we were in at the end of last year, the beginning of this year. Don't feel pressure. Like, I mean, I know it's hard not to, but losing the weight, I want to have a baby more than anything, and it was so much easier to put my focus into losing weight because of that reason than picking, you know, oh, I want to lose a stone this month or this year or whatever, like a random target. Like, that pushed me more than anything. Like, I lost a bit of weight for my wedding, but I could still get married if I didn't lose any weight. So, and I was always really comfortable in myself, so I was never bothered. But when they said that we might have to have IVF and they wouldn't let me have it until your BMI is under 30, it was, that kicked me into gear more than anything ever has, because it's kind of, you can't have this unless you do this. So that's how I looked at it. And I mean, if you want it, you can do it. You really, really can. Just build a really good support network around you, and you'll get there. You really will. I mean, it's not easy, but you can commit and you could do it. I know you can. But that story didn't quite end there either. I mean, to get around the IVF story, the IVF option that they've been given, they've even talked about her having sex with someone else to get around the IVF thing, and she said that it's a conversation that no married couple should ever have, and it really shouldn't be. That must have been a really, really tough conversation. It's a hard one to weigh in on, really, because it's not my relationship, and if anyone else has any opinions on this, please send them over and we can do another little live or a video about it. Yeah, I mean, it's good that you're having discussions, but you shouldn't ever feel like that's the way you need to go to get around it. Yeah, that's a tough one. So these are other people's comments regarding infertility in relationships and how to like stay at your best. So one person's put, be completely honest with each other and use counselling that you are offered as they are amazing. So that's going to be with regards to when you get to the IVF point. I've been told that you do get offered counselling. So if you feel that you need to talk, or you'll feel like you're better talking in a controlled environment where somebody's asking you questions, and you might say stuff you didn't realise you were feeling. So that's someone's opinion. Really, really interesting there. Somebody else has said they were constantly feel addicted to doing pregnancy tests just in case. I mean, we've all had that in the infertility world, right? We get an itchy toe and we think, pregnancy symptom, I'm sure that is, we'll try a test. And I mean, not only are we wasting our money, but it, like you say here, she's heartbreak every time. Every time you just feel like it's just gone. So best to try and stay away from those sorts of things if you can, just to save your own mental health again, and save your money. A couple of people have put the same sort of thing regarding having sex as becoming a chore, or feeling every time we were intimate purely because it's to keep trying, and the frustration of that, and it making sex a chore. You don't want to get to the point where sex isn't fun anymore, or you're only doing it because you think you're ovulating, or because your clomid time's up, or it can get stressful when you feel pressure to get pregnant, and it is all about timing. But you don't want to just be having sex then and it becoming like, oh, let's just do it now kind of thing, because it's the only time we can. Yeah, it can put strain on relationships, and you don't want to have that. Someone put, it caused a lot of arguments, especially when we were on Clomid, as timing was really stressful. So again, if you're so obsessed with it, and you have to be on it, don't get me wrong, but you don't want to only be obsessed with it at that time of the month or however often you ovulate, especially when you are on medication, because I can imagine you feel a lot of pressure to get it done that round, because you don't want to be pumping your body full of hormones for longer than you need to. But it can, like you say, it can cause arguments and can cause frustration in a relationship. So being open with each other and being honest and telling each other, if your husband doesn't want to have sex today, then let it be. If you've missed a chance that time, then I know that's going to be really frustrating, but it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? Someone else has put, it's hard to not become too obsessed, and that's what I was saying about being obsessed with the timings and stuff, because it can get an obsession. I mean, you've got your app. I mean, as soon as you've had sex, logging it in your fertility app, or doing tests, or just it taking over your life. I think, and I kind of have got a bit of an infertility bucket list of things to do while you aren't pregnant, or things you can carry on doing or carry on living a normal life while you haven't got children. A few questions. What is your honest feeling when you've never become pregnant after trying for so long? So that's a hard one, because again, I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for my situation. Some days it's hard, and some days I kind of don't think about it, because like the other messages before, I'm trying not to be obsessed with it, because I don't ovulate, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm still going through tests. We're going back to the hospital next week, so we're kind of in limbo still again. It is what it is. That is all I can say about it. I'm not upset. I'm living my life still. These are things I've mentioned in my other video, like I said before, and if that's something that you'd prefer for me to put on IGTV, then let me know and I'll get it popped over on there. Yeah, it's hard because it's something that you want, but like I said about the bucket list, I'm ticking things off, and I'm having fun. I'm still living my life. My life isn't on hold because I haven't got pregnant yet. Like part 2 of 2, I'm scared that when the time comes, what if I never get the result I want? Again, I'm glad that you're acknowledging the fact that it can happen, or infertility can happen, but don't be obsessed with it until the time. You can't do anything about it. You can't prepare you can prepare yourself mentally, as in like, I know that this might not work, or I might not get pregnant on month 1, 2, 3, whatever. It might take longer, and I think if you go into it when you are ready to start trying with an open mind, that's all I can really say. And like I said about keeping the relationships, you need to stay. Your communication and working as a team is the priority for that. Someone's put, I need to lose weight for IVF, but can't seem to get going. Any advice? So like I said earlier, I had never felt more motivated to lose weight other than when they put that on the table for me, that I needed to lose this much weight to be eligible for IVF on the NHS. If that's not enough for you, if that is enough, which it will be, for you to get started, literally just start increasing things slowly. If you don't do any exercise currently, up your steps. If you've got most phones now do, if you've got a smartphone, have like a step counter in them. If you haven't got a smartwatch or a Fitbit or anything like that, up your steps, see what you're doing currently, and then just add 1,000 or 2,000 on. Go around the block, just start moving. If you watch TV on an evening, just, every time you sit down and stand up twice. Just do something small to get yourself started. Cut your portion sizes down. I thought I ate well before, but it clearly has shown me that this year I've never eaten as well as I am currently, and I think the consistency is key. It's a journey. It's going to take time, and I think long as you're patient with it and you do stick to your diet and you exercise as much as you can, while still having a life, if you've got to find some kind of happy balance there. But definitely just start with something simple, like cutting your portion sizes down, and starting to move a little bit more, even if it's just walking or getting on an exercise bike or just something simple like that. What stage are you at with infertility? So currently we are still going through tests. I've got 2 block tubes, and I don't ovulate, so yay for me. We have got an appointment next week to see where we go next, whether that be surgery or IVF, who knows. It's anybody's game at the moment, anybody's guess. We have no idea. My story up to date, again, is on the other video, so as soon as I've got a little bit more news, I will do another video as a kind of continuation on from that. Somebody else has put, have you and your hubby discussed other options such as adoption, etc.? So this one's a tough one because this is saying that we've written off getting pregnant naturally, which I haven't. So the answer to that is no. This also falls under the slightly ignorant comment. Sorry about that if that offends you, but people that are trying for a baby, if they can't get pregnant in a year or 2 years, or if they're so far into their infertility journey, or if they've been told that they can't have children naturally, and they're going through cycles of, if they've had IVIs, if they've had IVF, if they've had rounds of medicated cycles, anything like that, we aren't giving up in the infertility community. We don't want to hear, oh, you should try this, because no offense, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm like a really easygoing person, so if someone said that to me, I wouldn't be upset. I'd just be like, no, because we're not there yet and I've not written anything off, which is basically how everyone feels, but they're going to take it differently. Everybody obviously has their own scenario, everyone's going to take it differently. So it's best that if you know that somebody is struggling to have a baby and they're going through treatment, or they've been through treatment, or if they're older and they've not got children, don't assume that they don't want children. Don't assume that they are not going through treatment, because not everybody's going to be as open as me and tell you that they're going through infertility in general. And don't assume that people are ready to give up and pursue other options. If people wanted to go down the adoption route, then that's absolutely fine, but they will come to you and tell you that. Do not assume that people are giving up on their dream of having their own baby, because 9 times out of 10 that isn't going to be the case. It's best to not say, if you are unsure on how someone's going to take something, don't say it. But like I said, I'm going to do that all over again in a what not to say, or don't be ignorant. We're not sure on the comment that I'm going to put on that video yet, but I want people to be aware of what they can and can't say. You know, I understand that it comes from a good place or because you care. I understand that, but if you catch someone on a bad day and they don't want to hear that, they really don't, like, that could really hurt. They could have just been told the worst news ever. Like, if you would have told, if I would have met a new person, or if anybody on the day that I found out both my tubes were blocked had said to me, oh, well, you can always adopt, that person would have felt full wrath of me. I would have bit the head off. I really would have, because you don't know what news that person's got that day. Most people that are going through fertility treatment, they're at the doctor's like at least once a month. At least. They're going through, they're living this life all the time. And you don't know what news they've been given that day or that week, or how they're feeling. It's just best not to say anything. It's just best to go, are you okay? Or, you know, how's things? Don't generalise, don't be specific. Yeah, don't be ignorant, don't be a dick. Sorry if that has offended anybody, but you gotta know. You gotta know what you're talking about, and you can't weigh in on how someone is gonna feel about anything. That's not just infertility, that is literally everything. But yeah, you just be nice. Like, that is all people want. That is all I want. Like, I know that people know that.
I know that people know what I'm going through.
Yeah. So I know when they see me and they're normal, that is all I want. Like, I want them to go, you alright? Like, things alright? And if I've got anything to say, then I'll say it. But if they want to talk about something in particular, then that's absolutely fine. I'm welcome. Questions are welcome to me, but I'm that kind of person. If your friend is shy, or if doesn't want to talk about stuff, or is embarrassed, or feels any kind of way, just be normal. That is all people want in this position. But yeah, if you've got any questions, I'm probably the best person to ask, because I'm quite hard shelled. So yeah, they're probably best to be directed towards me. Nick, is this my friend's going through this? Is this the right thing to say? Please check, because if you go to your friend and then they start crying on you, then that is on you. That is on you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that has been helpful or insightful, or both, hopefully, for everybody going through infertility, or that have tried for a baby in the past, or that haven't even got there yet and just want a bit more information on what can happen, or how to deal with people that in your friends and family circles that may be going through the same thing, and how to deal with them, and what not to say. But we will go through that again, for sure. If you could like and subscribe, that would be absolutely amazing. And let me know what you think. If you've got any questions or any comments, please leave them below, or feel free to drop me an inbox on Instagram. Make sure you follow me at GoodLuckNic, and I will see you in the next video.